Hello and welcome to Frontline. I am Obiora Ilo. On Wednesday, President Goodluck Jonathan directed the Ministry of Works to ensure that key roads in the country are motorable before Christmas. This directive by the President gladdened the heart of many Nigerians who had suffered ceaselessly on dilapidated Nigerian roads. From all zones of the country, Nigerians are crying over the terrible state of roads. So today in Frontline, we are focusing on the poor state of Nigerian roads and the way forward. In a moment, I'll be speaking to the Honorable Minister of Works, Mike Onalememe, and the Managing Director of Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, Engineer GC Amuchi. Later on in the program, I'll be joined by Senator Ayogu Eze, Chairman, Senate Committee on Works, to further discuss the challenges of poor road infrastructure in Nigeria. Also in our program today, Nuhu Ribadu, you remember him, former chairman of the EFCC, will be sharing with us for the first time his experiences as boss of the EFCC and how he was forced out of the EFCC. These and more after our prologue. You're welcome.
In 1914, the total road network in Nigeria was 3,200 kilometers in length. By 1960, it rose to 66,000 kilometers. And now, there are about 200,000 kilometers of federal, state and local government roads. Of this number, only 50,000 kilometers are paved, while inland waterways and railways are inactive, thereby causing a heavy reliance of the nation's economy on road transportation. This over-reliance on road has further aggravated the deplorable state of our roads. For example, the Mokwa Road, Niger, Kebbi, Kaba, Ekiti, Adamawa, Bauchi, Potiskum, Ajaokuta, Benue, and virtually all roads in the eastern and western parts of the country have become death traps and sources of sorrow, with potholes, shaky or fallen bridges, sharp turns and bends becoming an everyday nightmare for road users. Our road network should be efficient in order to maximize economic and social benefits. Roads play a significant role in enhancing national development and contributing to the overall performance and social functionality of a modern community. The problem of bad roads in Nigeria is a major setback which needs urgent attention, considering that over the years, bad roads have turned into spots for accidents and vices like armed robbery and kidnapping. According to a recent survey, every day an average of 50 people die in road accidents. Therefore, there is no gainsaying the fact that numerous lives and property have been lost as a result of this menace. In all honesty, there has not been much success as the roads that need attention are increasing on a daily basis, and a huge chunk of work on those roads remain in the hands of the federal government. Though some state governments have done much in the area of road rehabilitation, more efforts are needed in addressing the issue of bad roads to meet international standards. As former President Olusegun Obasanjo said at his inauguration in May 1999, transport is the lifeline of the economy and social interactions. An inefficient transport system implies stagnation in all sectors. It is on the strength of this that the Obasanjo government established the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, in 2002, with the mandate to, among other things, maintain federal trunk roads nationwide efficiently and effectively, enter into concession contracts for the purpose of executing relevant projects, plan and manage the development and implementation of the road safety standard, plan and develop strategy towards ensuring effective and efficient movement of traffic on the federal trunk roads, and ensure their implementation. On its part, the Federal Ministry of Works is saddled with the responsibility to plan, design, construct, and maintain federal highways, while the state ministries of works have similar roles for state roads, and the 774 local government works departments are responsible for local government roads. Unfortunately, It's rather disappointing that this mandate has to a large extent been abandoned by all tiers of government. Since the inception of democracy in 1999 up to July 2003, the Ministry of Works has received over 366 billion naira, and there is only little to show for this massive financial investment. This is in sharp contradiction to the much-touted objectives of the transformation agenda. There is no doubt that the provision of roads and transport facilities are fundamental to the development of Nigeria and the well-being of the people of Nigeria, and this is why many Nigerians are disappointed with the poor performance of the various governments, especially the federal government in the road sector. Many are asking, what is the way forward in making Nigerian roads motorable again? Should government continue to pursue the challenges of road construction in the same old unproductive ways, or should a new approach be involved to give Nigerians the type of roads that other modern societies enjoy?
Honorable Minister, let me start with you. Everywhere you go in Nigeria today, you have one complaint about our roads. If you go to the southeast, if you look at the road from Enugu to Port Harcourt, it's impassable. As I speak to you, people have to detour somewhere around Isiago to get to Umuahia and then get to Aba. A journey that used to take 2 hours is taking like 8 hours. If you go to Akwa Ibom State, if you go to Calabar, what are the challenges in the Ministry of Works? Why are we having these roads being problematic in the year 2012?
Thank you very much. I would want us to situate the situation in the proper perspective. Mm-hmm. Let's look at where we were by May 29, 2011, so that Nigerians can really appreciate what is going on in the road sector. Because all these problems you've cataloged did not just start last year. The problem has been with us in the past 3 decades. Yes, there are challenges because last year when I came in as Honorable Minister of Work, I inherited about 168 ongoing projects. We have one of the major challenges that we have is we have too many ongoing projects because we have about 35,000 kilometers of federal roads. Then, of course, we have the challenge of inadequate funding. Then we have the challenge, too, of we have a budgetary challenge. Then, of course, we also have the challenge of weather. In other words, there are certain times of the year in our country where construction work cannot really go on. Of course, we have another challenge, which is abuse of road infrastructure, even by road users themselves. So in a nutshell, these are some of the challenges. But in terms of the state of the road, yes, there are challenges, but in the past 1 year, if you look at it and see where we have taken the country to in terms of road infrastructure, people will better appreciate relatively, considering the parallel state of road we meant when we came in. Every now and then, like the road you complained about, for instance, the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, for instance, as we speak, contractors are on that road as we speak this moment. That is as a result of the deliberate effort by this administration to try to fix that road. You have about 5 contractors distributed along the entire alignment of the particular carriageway. We are working in collaboration with FEMA to handle that. And most roads across the country that had failed by the time we came in last year, we have started fixing them. And for the past 9 months, we have successfully completed and delivered about 12 roads in this country. Honorable
Minister, I'm not interrupting you, but you've talked about, I mean, it's good we're situating it in a particular road. You've talked about the Enugu-Port Harcourt road.
Yeah.
For as long as I know, contractors have been on that road. And what the trend is that they patch a kilometer, they go the other way to patch another kilometer, the old kilometer goes bad. Because what I'm looking at is, yes, these jobs are being done. How about supervision? Because using that particular road, I think there is poor supervision.
Again, on that particular road, it is not true to say there have been contractors on that road. because there have not been contractors on that road at all in the past 3-4 years.
FEMA was there.
FEMA is not a contractor. FEMA, the responsibility of FEMA is to ensure that the roads are made motorable if it is within maintainable level. But that road, the way it has dilapidated over the year, it has gone beyond routine maintenance. So what needed to be done on the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway was complete rehabilitation of the road. And that is what we are starting. In fact, because of the parallel state of that road, what we are doing right now is to ensure that the road becomes passable again. So there are major rehabilitation and overlay contracts on the road, which commenced about 2-3 weeks ago. We have been planning, and for 2013 budget, we've also put some money in the budget to ensure that the reconstruction of the entire expressway will commence after the road has been made motorable.
How about the Enugu-Onitsha?
The Enugu-Onitsha Expressway has been on since 2009, and there have been challenges. And one of the major challenges, one of those challenges is inadequate funding on that road. And of course, beyond the funding, we also have issues with the contractor who is handling the road. We've been engaging them. Although this year we have improved funding of that particular expressway, if you are very conversant with the road, you would have witnessed an increased tempo of work in the past couple of months on that road. But between you and me, only recently as 2 weeks ago, we engaged the Bureau of Public Procurement on that particular road to fast track the completion of that road by reprocuring the entire stretch so that we'll have more contractors, more competent contractors deployed on that road. And BPP have just approved that, and with the procurement process is ongoing.
Honorable Minister, maybe you have to take a trip to those projects.
In fact, I've been there. I have been to Enugu, the Onitsha-Enugu road. I've been there over 6 times or 7 times since I became Minister of Works.
Are you impressed with what they're doing there?
Before last year, how did you see between the bridgehead at Onitsha up to Zik roundabout?
The roundabout.
If our people easily forget, from kilometer 0 to kilometer 3, it was an eyesore. It was like a devastated place, ravaged by erosion and all that. But in the past 9 months, we have resolved the whole of this erosion problem up to the slip road to Onitsha-Owerri Express Road. And including the Onitsha-Owerri Express Road, we have completed within the space of 9 months.
Honorable Minister, let me talk to Engineer Amuchi. A lot of Nigerians are not very impressed with FEMA. Because from what the minister said, on roads that are becoming impassable, there would have been a FEMA intervention. For instance, on the Enugu-Port Harcourt, where you have the cow market or the cattle market is impassable. And one would have thought that as an intervention agency, that FEMA should have intervened.
Thank you.
Why don't we find that kind of a quick intervention by FEMA?
Thank you very much. Let me be specific with the issue of the Enugu to Port Harcourt. As we speak now, FEMA is working on the cattle market area, and the bypass people were using that we are aware of has been stopped because we are filling out the major failures. But the truth is that we need to let the public know that roads that are undergoing major reconstruction, FEMA don't intervene on such roads because there's a reconstruction project in progress. The intervention process is meant for roads built, completed, and handed over to FEMA to maintain. So this is doing the mix-up. When there is a major contract award, you don't mix up government investment on the same road. You allow the major contract to progress. The history of road development in our country is such that we have progressed actually from footpaths to single carriageways to dual carriageways, and today we're here because there was no successful maintenance program put in place all over the world. When roads are built, like the Ministry of Work will build a road and hand over, immediately after, maintenance commences.
All right.
It is only in Nigeria that roads have been built several years ago and abandoned. Roads must be maintained, just like you maintain your houses, your car, on regular basis to make them very useful infrastructure. So many roads that were built in the 70s with a lifespan of about design lifespan of about 20 to 25 years, have lasted for 37 to 40 years unmaintained. So FEMA was put in place 10 years ago to correct this backlog of unmaintained federal highways. And they inherited so many of them in dilapidated condition. FEMA has been able to recover a number of them.
And we go to specifics. In which areas? In which areas?
If you look at the road from, for instance, Benin to Okede, all through since they built that road, FEMA has been there since FEMA came in place, ensuring that it's motorable. The road from Abuja straight to Kaduna has been under FEMA for maintenance for more than 3 years. Any pothole that develops there were there. We are working on the road from Maiduguri to Bauchi to Jos. FEMA keeps that one motorable. We have been maintaining the road from, even the third mainland bridge, where you have minor potholes, we intervene. But the truth is that a lot of roads have collapsed because of this backlog of unmaintained practice. And we are now recovering and maintaining. So the attitude we have adopted now is that all roads that are in fair condition are not allowed again to deteriorate. And it's this administration that have introduced this preventive maintenance culture. That is the practice world over.
Okay.
In Enugu, Port Harcourt, like the Honorable Minister mentioned, 2 weeks ago, we have just moved in these 5 contractors to commence recovery of the failed locations. Before now, you can't pass through Aba, Urban. FEMA has recovered all those areas. Today, we have these 4 contractors going to work between now and the end of November, because this is a mandate from the presidency to make that road motorable before a major reconstruction program. Because if a road has failed very badly, like he told you, you do full reconstruction and then hand over for maintenance.
Okay, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll look at the scientific way of approaching our road challenges. Don't go away.
So the minute we try to talk government, when they do the road for us, but they talk now say tanker the gas, so that one down happen and after a car now. See the risk one day here now. So now the sovereigners are the see for roads. This road now to close and say more do the road. No be say to use and small again say. Now to close and do the road. HPC now we start round the corner go start everybody go follow one way instead to follow directly.
We are calling federal government to come and rescue us for the bad road because people are suffering here. People will come from northern part of Nigeria. Some are going to Port, some are going to Calabar. They will end here in their destination. Now we are looking for another vehicle to come and transload our goods.
I'm really grateful to God Almighty, who made it possible for you people to be here today in order to witness how our road is. This road has been bad for over 8 months now. Nobody takes care of it. And the people here are suffering. The motorists passing by, they are always suffering. The motor breaks down, their goods lost. Some vandalists used to vandalize their goods. In fact, we are in a hellfire this side. So we are begging the government to run and see the thing that they will do to this road to get it repaired.
I have not passed this road for a long time, but because of Lokoja road is bad, and they opened the road, but it take another 3 days or 4 days I will pass Lokoja, so I decided to follow this way. Benue, I slept at Alea yesterday. So this morning I take the journey and I saw the roads. It doesn't look like Nigeria, like I'm going to another different place. And the road surprised me.
Honorable Minister, you talked about the challenges. There are too many road projects going at the same time by the time you came. And of course, you have the issue of funding. You know, some years back, we had the toll gates. Should we go back there?
I want to put on record that the excessive axle load to which our roads are subjected is such that unless something happens, we will continue to be in this vicious cycle. Because our roads are designed to take axle load of about 52 tons. But you have trucks of about 70, 80, 90 tons on our road. Because in the past 3 decades, the railway has been in a comatose situation. So everything is on the road. The inland waterway, they don't move any good. Even the contractor building the Barrow port, all the things they imported from Europe and from China, they are moved by road to Barrow. So that is a major problem. So first and foremost, we need to reinvent our railway. We need to put our inland waterway transportation into effective use. Then beyond that, in terms of governance of the road, which is the pointed question you asked, we need to have a mix of them. In the first place, it was a great disservice to this nation for the toll plazas to have it dismantled. Because everywhere in the world, a road is a service. And there should be some service-related charges to maintain that particular infrastructure. That is what happens everywhere in the world. Like today, we are saying people should come and invest in road construction in our country under public-private partnership. How do they recoup their money if you don't bring back to plazas? Because over time, they're expected to recoup their money within about 25, a time frame of 25 years. And it has to be through proper tolling.
Are we bringing back the tolls?
What we are doing as an administration, in the wisdom of Mr. President, he has said the roads are so bad that it will not make sense to start tolling. But let us first of all recover, dualize the road, like we had before, even in the late 80s. I mean, all dual carriageway had toll plazas. So we are going to come back to that regime once the roads have been recovered and properly reconstructed. Then we will now have to put in place that governance structure where we have to, where little user-related charges are charged to ensure the sustainable maintenance of the road.
Everyone is, you know, when you go to other parts of the country, other parts of the world, there's what they call weighing facilities on the road,
yeah.
Which means that, like you said, that this road is supposed to take this tonnage. Yeah. You cannot go on that road if your tonnage is higher than the recommended tonnage. Yeah. But you don't see it in our roads.
Well, conversely, since last year, we'll be embarking on a program of installing weight bridges on our highway. Mm-hmm. In fact, as we speak, most of these deployments are being completed. But I see a hole, a loophole, you know, in the administration of it, if we do not have what we call security plaza or toll plaza to bring every motorist to a stop.
Okay.
And because of this, we have proposed in the 2013 budget to build this security plaza, which whenever the roads are completed, can transform into toll plazas, where every truck can come to a halt. And you now force them to go through that particular way bridge. In that way, we are going to be able to enforce the tonnage on our road, so that those who are in contravention will now be penalized.
Let me go to you. Christmas is coming, and a lot of pressure is going to be on our roads again. What is FEMA, because you are the one that intervenes, doing to a place like Lagos, Benin, because that's another busy road?
Thank you. You will recall that similar time last year, there was a lot of aggressive road maintenance program that was put in place, and Nigerians commended that effort. This year again, since October, the president have directed all of us to go back to site, and we're there. Because during the rainy season, you don't do much with respect to maintenance because of the wetness of road construction materials. So as soon as the dry season sets in, you have a lot of programs. So what we're doing now is aggressive maintenance of all economically viable routes in the whole country. And now, the road you mentioned, Lagos, Benin to Lagos, is a major concern. We'll have some sections of it under major reconstruction by the Federal Ministry of Works. Some areas that are not being reconstructed are receiving attention routinely by FEMA. And I'm assuring you that between now and November ending, majority of those failed areas would have been attended to.
Funding is a major challenge for your ministry. How do you want to overcome it? Besides the plan of the PPP, how do you want to overcome it?
Well, as an administration, we are already working towards that. You are aware that in 2012 budgetary cycle, Mr. President did promise Nigerians that the subsidy reinvestment and empowerment program, which is started, will focus mainly on road, railway, and all that. We are benefiting from that mechanism. At least this year, my ministry is benefited by 85 billion additional funding for road projects. So we have priority projects that money has been devoted to, and it's really helping to accelerate the completion of those particular projects. We expect that that will continue, but beyond that, we also expect that the public-private partnership will bring in a lot of investment. For instance, we are working on the second Niger Bridge, which by the grace of God, by the end of this year, we will announce the concession. That will bring in about 70 billion naira of private sector investment. We're doing the same Murtala Mohammed International Airport Road in Lagos. That we expect that should bring in about 10 billion naira investment from the private sector. We're also working on the bridge at Nupenko. As we speak, we have about 10 other projects that have been prepared, which will lead to heavy investment from the private sector. So we will now have a mixture of budgetary provision, the short pay provision, and investment under the public-private partnership.
Honorable Minister, we can't conclude this discussion without talking about the role of corruption in this whole thing. Because the accusation has been with the procurement process over invoicing. And like you said, government puts in like 85 billion. And what goes into the roads actually is less than 40 billion. How are you fighting corruption?
Well, for the Federal Ministry of Work, everybody knows that it is no longer business as usual because of the institutional mechanism I have put in place in the past 9 months to check this corruption we are talking about. Number one, the procurement process is a very transparent one, which is being supervised by the Bureau of Public Procurement. But beyond that, when it now goes to the site for execution, I created a new department of geotechnical materials and quality control and set up an independent zonal ministerial monitoring committee that monitors the work of our engineers at the various sites. This committee is made up of people from civil society, highly respected engineers in this country. They've been all through the nooks and crannies of this country looking at projects in detail. The new Department of Geotechnical Materials and Quality Control, they are in every site taking specimen, carrying out laboratory thing, ensuring that the specification, the construction work is in accordance with the specification and all that. And where there are problems, we have had to draw contractors back to site to repeat some of those construction processes, and it is working. And we hope to sustain that gain in the Federal Ministry of Work to check corrupt practices.
MD, do you think that FEMA, in all sincerity, is doing as much as the kind of money they get? Is the money they get commensurate with what they're doing on the roads?
With respect to corruption,
yes,
you have just asked.
Yes.
One, corruption is either coming from the type of contractors or the supervision team. We have been able to put in place now that contractors who engage to do critical works in FEMA are competent and well equipped, that have at least asphalt plant. Two, FEMA has developed the coal asphalt technology now, the first in Nigeria, to produce material that you need at any given time for proactive intervention. So now all our materials are in various states of the Federation, and our supervisors are being monitored by a surveillance team unknown to them.
I must thank you, gentlemen, for your time. The discussion continues, because we'll have time to ask you to come again and look at some of these gray areas. I've been speaking with the Minister of Works, Architect Mike Onolememe. That's a mouthful. A lot of people actually have challenges getting that name right. And of course, the MD of FEMA, Engineer Gabriel Amuchi. You're still watching Frontline on AIT, and with me is the Chairman Senate Committee on Works, Senator Ayo Ogweze, CON. Let me start by congratulating you on that award. Distinguished Senator, you listened to my conversation with the Honorable Minister of Works, and some of the challenges, the main challenge is that of funding from the Senate and from the National Assembly. What are you doing to ensure that they have the kind of funds to confront these challenges?
Yeah, well, I think that for the first time in the history of the work sector, there has not been this level of collaboration between the legislature at the national level and the executive branch. That is the minister and members of his team, including the managing director of the Federal Road Maintenance Agency and also his management team. I think that, as the minister has eloquently outlined, the major problem is that we need to change some of the ideas about funding. We in the National Assembly are worried about the strictures that are imposed by the yearly budgeting cycle in the infrastructure sector, especially in the work sector. Because right now, on 2012 appropriation, the procurement process is only, well, almost halfway or nearing completion, and we're almost at the end of the year. And by December, if there's no extension, they start calling back the funds. So we are confronted by the fact that the funds are not adequate. The process of utilizing the funds is very cumbersome, and that's why a number of us are anxious that we need to take a second look at the Procurement Act. Very good act, designed to instill discipline and prudence in the management of the scarce resources that we have. But in some ways, it has become like a cog in the process because it's so tedious and so cumbersome, and the provisions so unrealistic in some areas that is also one of the problems confronting procurement within the work sector. And I am sure that we will be able to apply some adequate legislative therapy to correct some of these things.
By the job you do as a legislator, you're always going back home and coming back. You have your oversight tours and all that. Do you say you're impressed with the state of our roads?
Yeah, I will approach it from two angles. One, on a global level, I am not impressed. But on a micro level, being somebody who is part of the process, I am impressed by the transformation that has taken place within the period that the current team has been in the saddle. And you know why I say that? The decay in the road infrastructure has been a cumulative occurrence over 3-4 decades that the road sector has been neglected. And you remember that when my committee was inaugurated, the highlight of the statement I made was that we need to declare a state of emergency within the road sector. And if we don't do that, we will not get it right. I still believe that we need to do that. And that is why I believe that creating a different funding architecture that takes road sector and maybe some other key infrastructure sectors like the rail sector, the waterways, away from the yearly budget cycle is a desiderata. It's very important that we do that. It's needed to be done. And unless we do it, we'll be making incremental progress, but we are not going to get the kind of quantum leap that Nigerians will see and begin to appreciate.
Distinguished, you know, a lot of Nigerians have insinuated and actually gone ahead to accuse agencies like FEMA and even the Ministry of Works of condoning a lot of corruption. And you oversight this ministry and some of these agencies. What are you doing about this allegation of corruption?
Well, if those allegations come to our attention, because you didn't provide specific particulars about these allegations.
There have been charges of over invoicing.
Well, if
especially in the procurement process.
It is going to be difficult under the current Procurement Act for anybody to manipulate because the bidding process is very transparent and open. I can say that in my interactions and dealings with them, they have shown me a high level of integrity and dependability. And I've said it wherever I've gone to. So I'm not in any dalliance with them. But they know that when there's need to speak the truth, I say so. So far, I've not seen anything from my point of view as a legislator to give me concern about the integrity or the breadth of knowledge or grasp of the job that they are doing at the moment. But on a daily basis, if we receive anything that causes us concern, we get in touch with them and we get it cleared. So we have to, I'm not dismissing the allegation, but I'm saying they must be evaluated on their face, on the facts that they present. They must provide particulars, they must be detailed so that we can go through them And of course, you know that when we find any evidence of malfeasance or manipulation or abuse of process, we're going to come heavily down on them, and we'll always be on the part of the people.
Distinguished, you know, when you were inaugurated, you called for a state of emergency to be declared on Nigerian roads. Why has it not been declared? And why shouldn't it be declared?
Well, I believe it should be declared. I believe it has to be declared. I believe that maybe the government is articulating and taking its time and trying to come up with the particulars. If we have declared state of emergencies in other sectors, aviation and in other places, I don't see why we cannot, because as the minister said when he was speaking, the bane of our road infrastructure is the absence or the collapse of the other modes of transportation. Or in developed economies, goods and services are moved mainly on rails and by waterways. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. The net effect is the overloading of the roads.
Okay.
And then this leads to rapid degeneration and deterioration. And in fact, the roads cannot even live up to their life expectancy. And then talk less of roads that have been left to decay for decades without any attention.
I must thank you for coming on our program.
Thank you very much.
The U.S. elections is getting into overdrive as the two frontline candidates, Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, run neck to neck into the election day. For an insight into the contemporary issues and the U.S. elections, earlier today, I linked up with Dr. Uchenna Ekwo, President, Center for Media and Peace Initiatives, New York. He is also Associate Professor of Public Affairs, Rutgers University. Good to have you on the line, Uchenna. Let me start by asking you, what are the issues in the U.S. presidential elections?
There are several issues that you can imagine in every election, but the fundamental issue is about the economy and the future of America. Future of America in the sense that the policies of Barack Obama and Mitt Romney are clearly so distinct that whether you have a choice. In the sense that the economic policies of Mitt Romney somehow mirror the economic policies of the former Republican administration, that's the Bush administration. Barack Obama's policies favor or are somehow similar to some of the policies, of course, that Clinton also propagated as well. And the issue also is about fairness and the middle class. So it looks like both companies actually are fighting for the middle class. But in reality, the question that may have to be said is what is genuine about protecting the middle class.
Uchenna, one thing that has worried us in Africa is that nobody in these elections is talking about Africa and African problems. Why is this the situation?
As a matter of fact, the expectation is that because President Obama do have ancestral roots in Africa, if you remember his parents from Kenya, the expectation is that he will be more pro-African. But so far, that's not the story. Although I am aware that the administration is applicing what they call Africa-American Strategic Partnership for the second term. Whatever that means, we don't know yet, but they are working on that. However, it is sad to note that none of the candidates have mentioned Africa in the way that they have what they really appreciate. The mention of Africa was by Mitt Romney at the last state on foreign policy, and he certainly brought humanity in the Middle East. But he was making reference to the violence in the Middle East and all that, and those Al-Qaeda operations and so on. And he made mention of Mali in passing. I'm not sure if you understand what Mali is. And like you know, most Americans are so ignorant about Africa, you know, to the point that some of them even think that Africa is a country. However, I do hope that if Obama is dealing with African affairs, because I suspect that perhaps while he was not so, openly appropriate in this term, it was probably that it was making it possible for him to actually organize the second term. Because don't forget that there is still some element of racism in this country. And for him, if he has shown so much interest in African affairs, they don't say, oh, look at this guy, we just put him there and protect his racism. So I believe he was just too careful and careful. I believe in the second term, they probably will going to, because we are not even the Kenya, who became president. And I'm sure some of those things will change in the second term.
That was Dr. Uchenna Ekwo, President Center for Media and Peace Initiatives in New York.
It was very convenient for them to use the Obasanjo thing without even evidence. You could make a wild allegation or accusation. You may be asked to come and support it, and you probably will not have anything to support. Always I say, and I'm still saying it, bring one single case, one single case where I was used by Obasanjo. One single case. Or are you also going to accuse the Metropolitan Police of London of supporting Obasanjo, third term? Are you accusing the UK government of supporting Obasanjo's third term? No, maybe you should help me ask them. Ask them, how come Alamasie was arrested by the UK authorities with so much money and properties in the UK? How come today James Ibori is serving a jail term in the UK if it was because of Obasanjo and third term? Some of these things, like I told you, when these people will not be able to stop you, when they tried everything to make it impossible for you to do that work, they will always hold something. They will never sit down and leave you to do what you like, and they are the ones who are at the receiving end. If these two cases that you mentioned now, if they didn't go to court, probably I would have said something. But both of them are convicted. Are you also accusing the court of working for Obasanjo or working for Obasanjo's third term? Because all of them were convicted. Are you also saying that the recovery, Bayelsa State government got over 40 billion back, or must have been getting that back from Alamasie, is also because of Obasanjo or his failure to support Obasanjo? Are you talking about what is going on now with James and so much money being recovered all over the world, including even giving me the $15 million? It's about Obasanjo. It's very difficult, it's very painful when you hear things like that. But that is public service. Well, it tells you about who I am and what I am, what I believe in. First and foremost, I put Nigeria first, number one. And I try to be honest with whatever I'm doing. I try not to play politics with everything. I was, like you said rightly, doing something in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is not my country. Afghanistan is thousands and thousands and thousands of kilometers away from me. If I could go and work and do something for people of Afghanistan, if my country say, no, you do have something to contribute, please come and help. Do you think it's right for me to say no? Meanwhile, I'm helping and supporting people of Afghanistan.
Even when you don't like their politics?
I like Nigerians. I work for Nigerians. And that if I see there was an opportunity for me to improve anything, small, however small it is, I think it is only proper for you to contribute. It was not work, and it is not work. It was a task force for you to come and help to advise or give a report. I never worked one day for this government. Never. When you are given chance to head a panel with other Nigerians, most of them are not even politicians. They are people who are chosen based on their own qualifications and they believe that they can do what is right for our country. And they are asked to come and look at an industry that is so critical for the survival of our country. And they say, come and advise us, how can we improve it? How can we do things properly and correctly? I've been asked, and all my life I fought for what is right and just. All my life I fought to enthrone integrity, transparency, and accountability in governance. And you have been asked to come and advise, give your own contribution towards letting them to work. Not me going to do the work, but rather give them your own perception of what you think they should do to support good work. And I said, no, that will not be right. That will not be fair.
So it was patriotism?
Absolutely, 100%. And I did this work with the honest belief. I have not taken 1 penny from government, and I will never take 1 penny. I have not taken 1 kobo of allowance from them, and I have not in any way benefited anything from it. I have done it, I have submitted the report to them, and that is it. That's all. No more, no less.
You want to talk about the report?
Because I have submitted it, or it is with their own consideration, it's not something I'm ready to talk about. If anybody do have issues with Asiwaju, let them go and settle it with him. Please don't bring me into it. I respect him very much. He's one of Nigerians that I have with the highest regard. And I know he has contributed immensely for the progress and development of Nigeria. If you had asked me long before then, I would have said that maybe it will be the last place I will be, honestly. But at the time when I got in, I understood that yes, as a Nigerian, I might contribute. More so, we are in democracy. And that democracy requires people to participate in politics. If you want to help, or if you want to participate in building your own country. No any other way. No any other way. Honestly, if you want to support anything like progress and development, then the path is that of politics. And I do not believe that politics is for bad people only. There are so many good people in Nigerian politics. And I am in politics, I have not changed. I'm in my political party, I have not shifted. I am doing what I can do to support and promote democracy in my country. And in any capacity I find myself, I can assure you, it's a challenge. Well, I don't know whether you call it run or not. I was haunted, of course you know. You know they dismissed me from the police force. They removed me from the EFCC. They attempted to kill me twice. And I do have still bullets there in the car. Sure, you can see it if you like. And there was no place for me then around. And they tried to get anything that they could nail me, they couldn't. They investigated me in and out. They could not get anything wrong that I did for them, for example, to charge me. While I was at the Kuru, NIPS, it took them 1 year looking at everything you can imagine on earth that they could charge me, and they couldn't get anything. I ended up, I didn't have anything to do in Nigeria. At the same time, Oxford University gave me a place as a senior fellow at St. Anthony's College. Another place gave me a job, Center for Global Development, with good salary. And I took it. If I had stayed in Nigeria with nothing, no job, with people who are desperately trying to see the end of me, I thought it was right for me to go and do something with my life. Since those people who were then in charge didn't want me, and they were desperate to eliminate me. That's why I left. I charged James Ibori for bribing me in November 2007. It's not today.
Did you have evidence? Did you have facts?
If you do not, of course, we went to court. When you go to court, you must have your own evidence. As at that time, Ibori was here. He was taken to the court, and then he was presented with the facts. And everything was made public, nothing hidden. At the time when he gave the money was taken directly to Central Bank of Nigeria. It's government bank. Government bank. And that's why you keep such things. After that, he was appropriately and properly charged to court with the count, and he was served with that before even going to court to prepare for his own defense. You know, in 2007, and the money remained with the central bank up till now. Five days after I took James Ibori to prison, to court, and I charged him with clear 100 and something counts, or charges, including, of course, this issue of $50 million that he bribed me. And 5 days after that, I was asked to vacate the office of the EFCC chair and go to NIPS, Kuru. It was Okiro who did that. Of course, not only him. I mean, there are a group, so many of them. Like I said, it's not something that I want to talk now. And when we were removed, they brought people who the intention was just to destroy the work of the EFCC. It's easy to destroy than to build. I pity the people who are in EFCC today because they are coming after people who destroyed it. It takes time for you to get back on track, recover those things that were destroyed, get it back through the processes through which you will be able to get results. This is what happened in the case of the EFCC. When you fight corruption, it will fight back. And we saw corruption fought back in the end of 2007 in Nigeria. When corruption took over, when the leadership of Nigeria embraced corruption and decided to fight those who are fighting corruption. And they replaced those who are fighting corruption with the corrupt people to compromise and turn things upside down. Nigerians must remember, it was Andoka who was Attorney General of Nigeria. And I do not need to say anything in addition. Nigerians know when Francis Waziri was brought to come into EFCC with a clear objective and intention to destroy the place. And they did that for 3 years. They reversed everything that was built. Just reflect and remember, the first thing that they did when they got into office was to even take the prosecutorial power from the EFCC. The undercast of this was then. Of course, with James Ibori and a couple of their own friends, said that they will take over. And you saw what happened. They took the cases and then destroyed them one after the other. In fact, cleared them and said some of them there were no cases. I wouldn't want to be repeating all these things because these are very sad development. I mean, very unfortunate, tragic development in the history of our country.
Not long ago, the governor of Taraba State, Dr. Dambaba Suntai, was involved in an air crash that attracted so much empathy from millions of Nigerians. However, the way the governor's aides were treated in the aftermath of the unfortunate incident has raised questions. Is one Nigerian's life more important than another Nigerian's life? Should an injured governor be treated differently from his injured ADC or his chief security officer? Should the governor's aides be discriminated against in terms of quality of medical care just because they are not governors? Did it have to take the hues and cries of Nigerians to compel the officials of government to fly the governor's aides out of the country for medical treatment? Perhaps this goes to show the value attached to the life of the ordinary Nigerian, or what the great Frank Olise of NTA called the common man. My worry, however, is that with this development, those involved with VIP protection may be demoralized and consequently less committed and dedicated to their job. What this may mean is that the lives we so jealously protect today may in truth not be protected at all. That's our program for today. Frontline returns same time next week. I am Obiora Ilo from Abuja, Nigeria.